welcome to My Baking Journey, a podcast for bakers where you get to hear from some of the great minds in the baking industry. My name is Haf.
And my name is Rachel. I'm a baker. I know what it's like to be baking all day alone in my kitchen, experiencing the frustrations and struggles with no one else to guide or support me through it.
And I'm not a baker, but I've witnessed all the ups and downs that come with this industry and where it's hard to get a little bit of extra help.
So if you're looking for advice, tips, and amazing insight from various experienced bakers, you've come to the right place.
So let's give you a little insight into what's in store for you this week.
I just wanted to just bake all the time and perfect those recipes. I wanted to have those cakes and cookies just like the magazines. The customer experience, the packaging experience, there's a whole thing to it. And I feel like I bring that to my clients. These things are so hard to make, super technical. And I get it why they're technical, you know, like the whole meringue thing and like the ratio and the oven. So I was like, I'm going to perfect my macarons. I had this large order for teal macarons. I had like trays and trays of cracked macaron shells. It humbled me.
This week we're going international and off to LA to sit down with Hellen, the former Food Network contestant and owner of Dport Sweets, an online bakery. But this story isn't straightforward. She's not from LA, moved to the US at a young age, had to learn English, had to find her feet as a teenager in a new country. So when her dad decided to buy her that first mixer, it all just seemed to make sense from there. Hellen offers all kinds of desserts at Dport Sweets because she refuses to believe she can't perfect something. However, she goes a lot further to get into the details of the full customer experience and why this is so important to her, and ultimately makes her stand out in a crowded Californian market. With millions of views on her social media, I can tell you she doesn't need a celebrity to help promote her work, even if she lives amongst them. So let's get stuck in with Hellen's baking journey. I hope you like it.
I think it's always good to share my journey just because it's not just like a perfect journey where I succeeded at everything. There's a lot of failures that allow me to grow and just like have the ability to get experience. And experience doesn't come without failure. So you need the failures to get that experience. So I'm more than happy to share it. So I always baked since I was little with my dad, and I moved to the US. I'm from Nicaragua.
Yeah.
I lived there till I was 12 years old. And then my mom were like, okay, well, you gotta pack your bags and we're moving to the US. It was literally overnight. They had planned everything, you know, they had to get, you know, residency and everything. And I was just like confused. But we ended up moving when I was 12, started school. I believe it was like 7th grade. And I would just bake with my grandma, but not really. And at 15, when I was like in high school, I believe it was in 10th grade or ending of my 9th grade, my dad, I think he saw that I was struggling with the whole move and just the language barrier. It was extremely difficult to learn a new language.
Did you know much English when you moved there?
At 12 years old, I had to like learn the language and it was hard to make friends. So my dad got me a mixer. And he was like, this is going to be your mixer, but I'm going to keep it here until you're ready to have your own place or whatever. So he kind of like foreshadowed everything.
Sounds like your dad planted a seed there, right, Hellen?
Yeah, he did. He always saw the potential. He saw that I had a great interest. So I had the mixer and I was like, what am I going to make? It was during the holidays and I saw this magazine cover. I believe it was like Martha Stewart with those decorated sugar cookies, which I was like so obsessed. I was like, how did I get that so smooth design? Obviously, back then we didn't have Google or anything like that. I think there was Google, but there was not a lot of info on how to achieve those. So I just grabbed the recipe. It was like a regular icing recipe and they were not the best, but it just planted like a seed of me having the hobby. And I was just basically since then obsessed with the Food Network, obsessed with just baking, making cakes for my brother, my uncle, my dad, my mom. I just wanted to just bake all the time and perfect those recipes. I wanted to have those cakes and cookies just like the magazines.
Do you think that became a bit of a coping mechanism for you, baking?
It did, exactly, because I think, like I said, I think my dad saw my struggle with finding who I was in a new country, especially as a teenager, not knowing the language and not having tons of friends and stuff like that. So I think he definitely like helped me with that. And I'm extremely grateful for it. I started my business with the same mixer.
Oh, wow.
I know. And I still have it.
Nostalgia as well, right?
I started my business with the same mixer, but I always knew I wanted a career in food. I love nutrition. I love eating health. I still love eating healthy, but I'm not the same. So I was like, I'm going to be a nutritionist or something to that effect. I went to school. I did the nutrition, but my dad was like, I see you more in the food career. So you should do food science because I see how you like product development, the packaging whole process. So you should really go into that. So I did. And I switched my major. I still did nutrition.
Did your dad have experience in food? You know, what was he doing in his career to know so much about food? Was he doing stuff related to food or not?
So my family back in Nicaragua, my grandma used to own a cafe, small coffee shop. And he used to make like the paninis. He makes the best paninis.
Oh, right. Okay.
But obviously, he went to school. He did sociology. And he didn't really like pursue anything into the food service or anything like that in that type of career.
Right.
He just kind of knew what I wanted. So he just kind of helped me make those decisions.
Amazing, right? Guidance.
I love it. I love my major. I love everything.
Do you think, going back to when you were a teen and early 20s, that it gave you something to succeed at, that you were in a time when it was a really hard struggle, that in baking you could succeed and excel in and be the best at?
Yeah, definitely. I think so. Yeah.
It's amazing. It's so cool. So then you've developed this career, right? You've been guided down this path by your father, who's had this, he's very intuitive to know what you could be good at.
Yeah.
And so you develop this career. And what does this career evolve into for you? What do you end up doing when you finish and graduate?
During college, I would bake, and I'll always be known as the friend that would bake.
Oh, right.
Lemon cake, pound cake, and I didn't decorate anything in terms of like cookies. So it was kept as a hobby, and I forgot about it. I was too busy being a college student.
Yeah.
And my husband there in college. I had extracurricular activities. And then I graduated. And then 3 months afterwards, I found a job in the agricultural field where I could apply my food science degree. So I became a food safety and sustainability manager for a large growing operation. And it was an extremely amazing opportunity. I think it just helped me grow in all types of aspects in the food safety industry. So I'm extremely grateful for it. I was there for 8 years. And I moved back home. I stayed away from home and I was missing home. I miss being in LA. My husband's also from LA.
Yeah.
And we missed having that family nearby because it was just both of us in the middle of nowhere with 2 kids. So we didn't have any babysitting or anything. So we were just like in a little bubble of just the 4 of us. And we decided, okay, it's time to move back home. So I quit my job and he quit his job. He went into, his career. And I was like, I'm going to apply for a job. But then I was just like, I don't think so. I kind of want to go into baking and give it a shot. Keep in mind that I already did have my Instagram account and it was like growing. So that's what kind of just helped.
And at that time, Helen, were you taking customer orders? Was it just for fun? Or was it just literally family events, friends, etc.?
Mainly for fun and friends. I still remember my first cookie order, and it was just for a friend. It was just $2 per cookie. I didn't know what to charge. I cringe over that, but I was on maternity leave and I got back into baking when I had my second kid, which was, I think it was November 2017. And that kind of just grew the obsession of having that hobby back because I was just so deep in my job, my career, that I didn't, obviously I had time for my kids, but nothing for myself. So I grew back into my hobby. And my husband had suggested for me to, just get into Instagram. So that's what kind of helped make that decision. There's just several factors into me deciding to jump into the baking industry.
It sounds like you had a few life choices, changes going on at that time. One being a deep move to want to relocate back home, back to LA. Another one that forcing you to consider to change jobs. And so you had a position then, and also having children, your second child being on maternity leave. It kind of probably accelerated that journey a lot faster because you were having all these elements come together at one good time.
Yes.
LA, I've always known LA to have a pretty good food scene over the many, many years that I've been there, going back 15, 20 years. But what I want to ask you though is, like, from a dessert perspective and a sweets perspective, at the time that you were getting into it, in the area of LA, because LA is a big place, right? So, but in the area where you were, how much of that was going on? Or were you sort of new to that, to your area, to offer what you were offering?
I don't know what it was, but I guess I just had tunnel vision that I just really just like focused on what I was doing, that I would research, but I always had the mentality just enough room for everybody that I didn't really worry what was going on with other people.
So
but trust me, all about trying places. So there's a lot of bakeries and cupcakes and shops in LA. There's a ton.
Yeah.
There has been an extreme growth of home bakers from where I started back in 2018, 2019 after the pandemic. So there's a lot more than what it was.
Yeah. I love about your attitude there is that, I feel like I've seen a TV show in LA about a bakery several years back too. And I feel like if you let yourself go up against that awareness that, oh my God, well, this is already happening, you'll never really start, right? You're always going to be put off by it. But your attitude of that tunnel vision to say, it doesn't matter, I'm just going to go do my own thing.
Yeah. I always feel like you can always bring something different. And if you attract the right clients will follow you. And they follow you not because everybody can make a rainbow cupcake or anything like that, right? Or like a unicorn cake. But I feel it has to do with like multiple factors about the customer experience, the packaging experience, just there's a whole thing to it. And I feel like I bring that to my clients and that's what attracts them. So, it's just each person has their own unique way to have their business, and each person's going to have their clients. And I think there's like more than enough like parties here in LA for everybody. There's a ton.
Yeah.
So Helen, is that something that you won't compromise on? It sounds like customer experience, packaging, building that whole brand is very important to you as much as it is the beautiful product, cake, biscuits, macarons, whatever it is that you're going to present to a customer. Can you talk us through that? Because I think it'll be great for our listeners to understand why that's been such an important part of your journey.
Yeah, I feel I always been attracted to packaging ever since. I don't know what it is. I still remember when I went to this like high-end store and I bought this like baby shower gift for my friend. And then they like put in this beautiful packaging with this bow. And I was just like, I love that customer experience. I want my clients to have the packaging to be part of the customer experience.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of boxes, like something so special for them. And then they get to untie it. I want that. I always dream for that, aim for that. And then when I started my brand, when I did like my whole branding, I just knew who I wanted as an ideal client. You have to think about who are you targeting for your business? What type of people do you want for them to buy from you, And I just drew to that. I don't know. I don't know anything about marketing, but I always knew this is the type of person that I want. This is the type of experience that I want my clients to go through when they buy something from me. And I want my whole brand to be chic, to be just clean. I always had that picture in my mind since I started.
You saw yourself more than just a cake maker. You saw yourself as a brand right up front, and that whole journey and that image from not just you as the baker, but everything that you would use on your products, how you would talk to them, how you would present it, how you want them to open it, how you want them to enjoy the experience. It sounds to me that you thought through the customer journey from start to finish.
I did. You have to think about that to attract the right clients that you want them to buy from, And a lot of people overlook branding, but it's such an important piece of your business. Obviously, I didn't have the best branding when I started. I was like, I need to save up and eventually it'll happen. And it did. I can't have the custom packaging. Everybody does love the the custom packaging. Everybody wish. And it was like, it's so hard. I can tell you how hard it is to find cute packaging in the US. It is extremely hard. And I'm telling you because I've been searching since like 2019 for like pink boxes or anything to that effect that was just super cute and effective. Like it's really hard. It's really hard.
We can relate. I mean, this is why we're here, right? This is why OLBAA exists.
All the cute packaging is overseas. Like majority of the packaging is like overseas and it's like really hard to get in the US. You guys are like so amazing that you guys like offer it in the US. But yeah.
Yeah.
I think, Helen, I totally relate to you. Just in the background of why we started OLBAA, it was because I was obsessed with that whole customer experience too. For me, spending 5 hours making a cake, then all the extra hours of all the extra elements that you put onto the cake.
Yeah.
And then putting it in a piece of packaging and my ideal customer, what they wanted them to pay and how they wanted them to experience it was something that I did not want to compromise on either.
And it's okay to sometimes, if you're not there yet, don't feel pressure. That's my only advice. Like, don't compare yourself. Like, this person has that, cute packaging or that branding. You'll get there. It's part of your journey to get there. You'll be ready. Once you're ready, you'll be able to do it. You can still build a business with what you have and slowly transition. There's that pressure too. I need the cute everything and just like start building that clientele, that customer bases, and then you can slowly transition into that.
So when you look on your website now, and obviously you've got cakes, you've got macarons, you've got cupcakes, mini cupcakes, you even do Rice Krispie treats. I mean, you've got so much. But what did you start out with? Did you start out with all of that, or was it a much slimmed down version and you build and build slowly from there?
Obviously, my first thing was cookies, decorated cookies. I wanted to get better. I can show you like my first cookies back when I started 2018, 2017, like for my daughter's Halloween party or whatever. They were the best. I was like, I need to try this again and get better. I'm like obsessed with perfecting things and like learning and teaching myself. So I would like YouTube, whatever I need to do to get better.
Yeah.
So once kind of got better at cookies, I was like, okay, I need to get better. My cakes are just so wonky. I need to get better. So I became obsessed with cakes and like taught how to do cakes. And then with macarons, we always do like a holiday cookie box. And my husband had introduced me to macarons. He was like, maybe we should make macarons for this year. And I was just so confused. Like, what is that? I never heard of it. He was the one that told me about macarons. It's like, oh, it's just all meat and you put like this amazing like ganache. You can put ganache fillings or anything like that. So we made it. I still have a picture when we first made it. It was like chocolate macarons and then we did pistachio with a pistachio ganache and it was amazing. I was like obsessed. Obviously, we were so lucky that we got an okay batch, but these things are so hard to make.
Yeah.
The hardest things ever. It's super technical and I get it. Why they're technical, like the whole meringue thing and like the ratio and the oven. So I was like, I'm going to perfect my macarons. So I spent so much money and resources and time trying to perfect those things.
Can you give us an idea, like how many weeks or attempts or however way you want to categorize it did you spend until you were happy with your macarons?
2017 minus 5 years. I never have still perfecting. I started now, I want to say end of last year to get a whole perfect batch.
Wow.
For me to understand my resting time, my oven time, my folding, everything. Just to get that muscle memory of you. And then I moved to a new place. So now my resting time is a bit different. So I'm just documenting and trying that out.
Yeah.
So it just takes a lot of trial and error. And I don't mind it. It's just a lot of making sure that you don't let it get to you and get frustrated.
I think that's the thing. Anything super challenging with baking, you can be so angry at yourself because you're like, I failed again. Right. I can't do this. I can't figure it out.
Yeah, why?
Yeah, not that I remember last year exactly. I had this large order for teal macarons, and then I used to have like a house without AC, and it was during a heat wave. So the summer, the humidity just messed up my whole resting time. So I had like, I want to say trays and trays of cracked macaron shells because I would just not get it right. And this is last year, and I had been baking macarons for 4 years, and this hadn't happened in a while. It humbled me, obviously, but I figured it out. I just have to rest them longer.
Hey, sorry to interrupt, but I have to ask. You know you're about to go bake a cake, right? A really nice tall cake with some beautiful decorations on top, maybe some dried blooms, lovely toppers. What are you going to box that in when you give it to the customer? Please don't tell me you're going to have to put some extenders on and staple it to a standard box and then wrap the thing in plastic and give that to somebody, hoping for the best. I have a better idea. Why don't you look at OLBAA tall cake boxes? 14 or 20 inches tall, they're gorgeous and strong. You can put them together in just a minute. Just amazing. You'll find them a game changer as a baker. Check them out, www.olbaa.shop. All right, let's get back to the show.
How did you handle that kind of stress, right? Because my perception is that you churn out huge volumes of gorgeous cakes and biscuits and macarons. And I'm guessing that you have to schedule your time because you have a life as well. You've got children, you've got them coming in and out from school. So how do you manage that when you've allocated time? Okay, I can make these 100 macarons, and then the batch just keeps going wrong and wrong and wrong. And you then start to eat into time that you were allocated for other parts of your baking.
I first have like a meltdown. I rant for like an hour. Obviously, I do. I have feelings. I'm like a human being. Obviously, I'm not like, I get so upset and angry, but then I have to, you know what? I'm just going to take this as a learning opportunity, and I'm just going to figure out what is going on. And obviously, I have to just stay out, pull an all-nighter or until I figure it out. And that's what happened that week. It was a very large order, and I just had to just figure it out with the macaron shells. And I remember Friday until I figured out that, oh, you know what? The last thing I'm going to try is just resting them for like almost an hour and a half versus 20 minutes. And that's what helped.
Amazing.
It's amazing. I love the perseverance. You know, you just will not give up. Of course, you'll break down, tears in the corner, rocking yourself, thinking, "Oh, what am I doing?" But you pick yourself up, and you set yourself a challenge, and you get through it. Right? You've got your husband, luckily, to help maybe handle who's going to make dinner that evening, or clean up the kitchen, or something. Right? So you figure out a plan and you execute on it, which is so cool. But it's so hard to see that when you're in the moment and you're just getting beaten down by these things. I've seen it with my lovely wife so many times with those macarons, but you get through it.
It's so reassuring, because I'm sure there'll be lots of people listening and they just see these beautiful glossy images that get posted on social media and they just think, oh, why can't I do it? And I think, unpeeling that a bit is that each and every baker had to struggle to get that to be beautiful, and it's not always beautiful. Like the cake doesn't always work right, or the buttercream doesn't always work right, or there's different things that can change even in the most experienced of bakers.
Very true. Hey, so now you've got a very interesting bit of history here with you talking about the Food Network. So how did the Food Network Cookie Challenge, how did you get on that? And what happened there?
Oh, God. Such a funny story, because I remember I always do my goals for the year, and I had written it, I want to say a year and a half before that, I want to be on the Food Network or I want to be in a show, and I forgot about it. And then I have found the thing. And then later that week, I checked my junk mail, my junk email, and there was an email, and it seemed pretty real. It didn't seem like spam. So I filled out the application, did like a quick video mission, and I didn't expect anything. And I remember them calling me the same day where I had applied for a job. I was like, I'm going to go back to corporate again.
Yeah.
Because baking thing is just like rough. It's rough. And I remember getting out of the interview and then getting the call saying, hey, we really want to hear from you again. Are you available for a second interview? So I did the whole process. That's how it happened. And just found me through Instagram. And then they asked me to come in, and something that I always aspired to do. It's just like a dream come true. And it was just a super amazing experience. It's just so crazy how it happened. When I had to make a decision where they're like, should I stick around more with baking, give it another try? And then I think it was a sign.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, it's that moment where you just got a nudge, right, in the direction to say, you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, I ended up turning down the job, and then I was just like, I'm going to stick to it.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's amazing. What's come from that as a result of you doing that, do you think?
I think for me, mainly has been personal growth. The whole experience was a lot in terms of the interview process. They put you in a room, they ask you all these questions, and then, I don't know, it's just anybody can tell you when they go on those shows that they're just super intense when they interview you. They want you to say certain things, and they put pieces together, like things that I don't know how to explain it. It's just a very unique experience where it was mentally draining. It was a lot of personal growth where I had to just throw myself into millions of viewers and just perform and just make sure I don't fail in front of people. And if I was going to fail, I had to accept, and I did. I didn't win. I had to just say, it's okay. You gave it a try and then you did your best.
Yeah.
I met amazing competitors. We're still friends. And definitely with the whole social media thing, it just helps. It just helps. You were in the Food Network. A lot of people watch it. So it's a great recognition to have.
Sure.
Yeah. But otherwise, it was intense. I mean, the whole thing in so many hours, and it's just, oh my God, I'll never forget that day. I was so tired. I was mentally drained the whole week.
I bet your dad was super proud though, right?
He was.
Yeah.
One question I wanted to jump in and ask you, Hellen, is that you are a husband and wife team.
Mm-hmm.
Half and I are a husband and wife team. So I know there are pros and cons for working together. And pros for us is that we can constantly just lean on each other and we can ask each other questions at any moment of the day. We don't have to call up someone or wait for them to be awake, etc. But obviously there are negatives because we have to find a different outlet so that we can actually talk to each other where it's not about work and other things like that. So I just wanted to understand from you, what are those pros and cons of you working so closely with your husband and that role, how that's developed also as your business has gone on?
My husband, he's amazing. I don't know. I wouldn't be here without him in terms of having my business. As cliche as it sounds, he was the one that pushed me to do it. And he has his whole career. And I can't ask him to just fully commit to me just because he loves his career so much. He loves it. But the amount of time that he puts on mine to help me and just with the kids, it's just an incredible, and I'm extremely grateful for it. Of course, he's a little slow with the packaging. With things, it takes him longer. And I get like I say, with the Food Network, ever since then, I know how to just blast through things. I can do things so quick, because you have to just do that when you're competing. And then ever since then, that's one of the good things I got out of it. It's just I can do things 10 times faster. He's a person that likes to take his time, which I have to learn to just say, it's okay. And he needs more detailed instructions. And I'm a person, if I tell you, I'm going to tell you, and you better write it down. So it's just the whole differences on how we do things can be a negative. But at the end of the day, I think it's a positive for me to kind of just get used to, because I used to manage a team of 9 before. And then it went from a team of 9 to just managing myself. So I have to remember myself, like, hey, each person is different. You have to learn how to work with people.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I think the negatives are just, we just have a different pace with things and a different understanding. If I tell him, go grab this box, go grab the 12-inch box, I automatically know what box is that. He's just like, over there and over there. Poor guy. Instead of asking me, he's searching because he doesn't want to ask me or bother me. But top of that, he has helped me with my marketing and with any product that I come up with or anything. With my designs to this day, I'm like, what do you think I should do to change? Gives me his 2 cents and ended up being like the best design ever. He helps me with my feelings. He makes the best dulce de leche from scratch and caramel. Like,
Oh, amazing.
stuff. Yeah, he like helps me when he can. He has his career, so he can only help me so much, but I always consider him with like my CFO, my financial officer. He helps with like my finances with my business, and he's a great advisor in terms of like how to profit my business. So I think it's a great thing to have it.
It's invaluable. You've got that in the same household under one roof.
Yeah.
Did you have other people who work for you as well, or are you a one-woman show in that?
During the busy holiday season, my mom comes to help or like other family members. But I have just kept it where I can only manage so many things, which could be a negative because you grow more. But I'm just kind of like just staying with what I have right now just because I like it.
Is that something that you've had to learn, Helen? Like the limits of that, what you can actually take on, it sounds.
Of course, it's a learning. I want to say this past 2 weeks ago, I overcommitted and it was just rough. And I told myself, and I'm being honest, that if you want to deliver the type of experience to your clients, you need to just take this XYZ on the amount of orders. So that way you can fully commit your time and effort so you can perform your best for your clients.
Can you share a bit like how rough felt for you? Like what were those emotions?
I just didn't have enough time to finish a design the client had asked me to. And I just thought I could do it. And then I didn't get a chance to just completely execute it the way I wanted to. And I offer her like, hey, I'm not even going to like charge you for this thing.
Oh, wow.
I didn't perform the best that I could. And she was just like, no, it's fine. Next time, just tell me. It's totally fine. She was very understanding. I'm grateful for that. But I was just so disappointed. I feel like I let her down. I feel like I let myself down because I was super excited about the design. And I just told my husband, like, it's just me. I can't do so many things. I know you help me with like boxing things together, which helps me a ton at the end of the day. Doing the delivery, helping with the kids, helping me like prepping things. But it's technically just me. I can't just do so many things. And it's okay to just say no. Don't overbook and then, yeah.
I think it's that learning ground that I think most bakers go through, which is learning how much they can actually manage and how much they can take on.
Right. Yeah, I didn't even sleep the whole week. I couldn't film content. I didn't do nothing. And I was so mad because it was a super cute everything. And I was just disappointed. And I told him, I really want to film content. I really like doing content. So I'm just and I feel like content is a great thing. You can get passive income from it. You can monetize your TikTok, your Instagram, or whatever you need. And I feel like it's a great opportunity for me to always make time for content. So I was kind of upset about it. I was really upset. I think that's what I was more mad about. Like, I didn't take any pictures of the cutest set that I ever dreamed about. I had this whole idea of it. Just one thing didn't turn out, but...
And you're probably absolutely exhausted at the end of it and nothing left.
Yeah.
Tell us, by the way, your social media, you started a while ago before you ran the business and you started to build a following. Had you done certain things at that time that you found were having a very positive impact in terms of your growth? Were you doing anything special or different, or were you just not really focused on it? You were just putting out the content that you enjoyed and just seeing where things happened?
Yes. I would say just post what you love and it will happen. Don't get too deep. And I'm telling you, because I've been too caught up into this whole numbers and stuff. I don't even care anymore. I honestly just post. It's not that I care, but I just don't let it get to me as I used to. So when I started my Instagram account, I posted pictures. Not only this is 2018 when the algorithm was like very kind to everybody.
Yeah.
And too exhausting at this point where you have to figure out reels and all this stuff. And I'll just post like twice a week. But what helped me was videos. Videos always took off more than pictures. I don't know why, but I always love filming videos. So I started posting the videos, and that just helped me grow my account from like 0 to probably 11K. I remember it was 11K before I left my job. So I started the account. I had the account before because I always wanted to post my crafting stuff because I love doing DIY. But I couldn't name. And I remember January 2018. And then by the time it was like October 2018, I had 11K, about 11 or 10K. And it was mainly because of videos. Videos always took off. And back then, I would only post maybe 2 or 3 times a week the most, mainly 2 times, maybe one. And always my videos took off, my macaron videos. Remember back in the day, there wasn't a lot of macaron making videos.
No, not back then, no.
Yeah, there wasn't. So I would post a lot of videos. I would rarely post a cookie decorating or cake. It was mainly macarons. So that helped grow my account. So I always have made the time to film something because I do find value on video.
Yeah.
I think because it's probably helped you so much watching and learning.
Yeah.
If you go back to even when you were a teen, really interested in learning how to make those ice cookies that you were talking about and finding like the how-tos on YouTube, it's almost like giving that back. Because when I look at your content, Helen, it's usually from start to finish. Like if you do it filming a cakesicle video, you're actually doing it from actually melting the chocolate goes in, then the layers, and then of a chocolate. So it's almost like a how-to guide on a reel as well.
Right. And then you have to think about when you grow your account is who am I want to attract? Because back then I didn't really care because I didn't think I had a business. It was mainly just for fun, remember? This is before I had my business. So I didn't really like focus on attracting clients. Now when I started my business, I had out clients from all over the world except LA.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
I'll be honest, I did it. Hey, that's what happened. So now my main focus, I don't care. I want my top 5 countries, my cities to be LA. That's like my goal because I am a business where I'm selling locally. So I want to make sure I'm in LA. So that's one of the things. If you don't worry too much about growing your social media, it doesn't matter if you're not attracting the right client. You have to make sure you're attracting the right client for you.
So can I just take you back, Helen, to when you were starting off in LA? How did you go about attracting the right client? Because you were starting anew again. Did you start doing baking and dropping them off at certain places? Or was it through school? Was it through workplaces?
So I'm extremely grateful for my business with social media. Had taken off where small businesses were able to use Instagram as a marketing tool. So I mainly focus on marketing through Instagram. We're using local. A lot of people think, it's just a local hashtag. Trust me, makes a difference. Started doing that. Obviously, I wanted to market myself person to person. So I would do several pop-up events where a store will host me and I would sell like my baking goods. So I would do those a couple of years.
Was that like literally going into the bakery and saying, I'd love to do a pop-up in your bakery or your shop. Would you be interested in taking me in? Was it literally going in and cold calling and asking, can I do this? Putting yourself out there?
Mm-hmm. You have to just realize if you want your product out there, you just have to show it to the world. You have to be talking about it to everybody and just put yourself out there. So yeah, I'm a person that I don't like talking to people.
No.
I like people, but when it's a new person, I get so nervous. But when I'm talking about something I love, which it's like baking, I don't mind. I can, or like my old career, I can just talk to you and freely communicate. I don't have any issues. So it was very easy for me because it's something I was very passionate about. So it's just, hey, can I just come here and sell some things? Like, I don't know if you know the store Williams in Sonoma, which is like a food store that sells like high-end kitchen equipment or utensils and all that stuff. So I went there and I went to like Pottery Barn, and it was a great experience. I wouldn't trade it for anything. And I also did some farmers markets as well. It was rough. It was a rough time. I wouldn't change it. Would you ask me to do a pop-up event or a farmer's market? I'd probably tell you no.
We've been there. We've totally been.
But you need to when you start to put yourself out there. But right now, no, it's a lot of commitment. It's something I don't want to do. It doesn't bring me joy, so I don't do them.
But I think what's really key here is that when you are starting new, it's not just magically going to happen overnight, that you have to go and either go to these stores, pop-up events, do farmers markets, do drop-offs of cakes for free or for tastings, or you physically have to go out there and put yourself out there to gain those customers, to get people to learn about you, and I think particularly with baking, to try you as well.
Exactly. And there's times where I will put out a product for the holidays. When I first started, nothing will sell. But I didn't let that. Just what did I expect? I didn't have any clients in LA. I had just started out. Like, it was just magically going to happen. So I had to really like humble myself and say, you need to just market yourself more locally and things will fall into place. And that's what truly happened. Yeah, it did get to me multiple times. And that's why I was like on the verge of like deciding where to go back to my old career. But I think at the end of the day, I would not trade a single thing.
When the pandemic hit for you, did that cause a big disruption in your business, or were you able to sail through it without too much difference?
I think it helped me, and I know it helped a lot of small businesses, just because people were just attracted to like trying things and buying things, and there wasn't a lot to do. So actually, my clients went up back in, I remember, 2020, and I'm extremely grateful that most of them stuck through it. are still with me.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, listen, it's such a cool journey, such a cool story. I just love hearing all the different experiences and the bits of information that you give us. What we're going to do, we've got a little bit of time left, Hellen, and what we like to do at the end of each one of our interviews is have a little quick fire round. Just a few questions for you. First thing that comes off the top of your head would be great. I'm going to go first. Super easy, okay? American buttercream, Swiss meringue buttercream, or ganache?
I like Swiss, but I go with American for decorating. Just because it's more it's easier in terms of making like a large batch.
Excellent.
One aspect of baking you won't compromise on?
Client experience.
Excellent. How about a baking book from your bookshelf?
Jenna Rae Cakes book.
Jenna Rae Cakes. Okay, cool.
When you start a business, have 5 accounts that you like and just choose one of the top accounts. Like, I love her product, and she's one of the persons that really puts like packaging up there, and I love that. Like, her packaging is like amazing.
Oh, I'm gonna check her out.
Yeah,
I love tips like that.
Whole experience is just makes me like, it's so happy.
That's awesome.
And who would you want to make your next birthday cake, Hellen?
Champagne Papi, which is Drake.
Oh,
Drake. Yeah, that's his Instagram handle, Champagne Papi.
Champagne Papi. All right, cool. That's so cool. We'll have to check that one out.
Finally, Hellen, because you got such great experience and knowledge, and like you've been baking for years. I love this story, baking with your grandmother. What advice would you give to someone starting out today?
Failures are okay. You need failures to grow. You need failures to be able to just see where you need improvement. Without failures, you're not going to grow. And don't be scared to fail. I'm telling you, because I've given up so many opportunities because I'm being like, I'm going to fail or what's going to happen. And I regret those. But I rather now have the mentality, I'm going to give it a try. Instead of just not giving it a try, I'd rather fail and get better at it. And don't be intimidated by the word failure. You are going to fail when you're starting a business. I failed. Everybody fails. And it's okay. Don't be too harsh on yourself,
Brilliant advice. Such good advice. Thank you so much for that.
Me just failing at like sales, failing at markets, failing at things. And just to see how it has helped me become the business person that I wanted to be, I wouldn't trade it for a thing. And I think it's okay for us as bakers and business owners to talk about those failures more instead of just putting out the perfection or the how everything just is so good without talking about the failures. I hope I make sense.
Makes perfect sense, Helen. Thank you so much for that. What a great way to end up, because it's just a reminder of how difficult it is, but also the reward when you get through it is just incredible. So anyway, listen, really appreciate your time and your insight and your knowledge and experience with this. So thank you so much for joining. And we look forward to catching up with you again very soon.
Thank you for having me. It was an amazing experience and I loved it. If I could help.
Thank you. So, Rachel, that was quite cool with Helen.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought, Helen's got that background where she's been baking since she was very little, and something that clearly she excelled in after moving countries and continued to excel in through her personal life as she got older. And it's interesting because you see Helen's work and it's absolutely beautiful, that you just wouldn't expect that she would be having any issues with baking macarons or any inconsistencies. And I really loved her honest approach of talking through that and talking through failure and talking through hitting her limit and what that feels like and the road that she wants to go to avoid doing those kind of things in the future.
Very true. She touched on some really interesting points. I love her comment about her tunnel vision when she started. She just was not concerned about being in such a competitive visual market like LA can be, where there's TV shows about bakeries and, there's so much obsession around look and feel. She just focused on what she wanted to do and marketed herself and focused on herself and never bothered to stop really comparing with what was around her. I think that's just such a nice approach. And she kept with it as well, right? She's got the perseverance. I mean, she spent 4 or 5 years doing macarons, right? So she knows how to keep pushing. It's excellent. Really good.
Yeah, I think there's so much wisdom there that can be taken away, and a great episode.
Yeah, very cool. Thank you, Helen, for that. That was just so much fun. We hope you enjoyed it. Take care, everyone.
And that wraps up episode 5 of my baking journey. So check out the show notes if you want to learn more about Helen and Dport Sweets. Go follow her amazing Instagram feed. It really is. It's fantastic. Now, please don't forget to rate us and subscribe to our podcast. If you're an Apple Podcast user or if you're on Spotify, hit the follow button. It just makes sure that you don't miss out on any new episodes that come out every week. We are back next week with our next guest back in England. So just before we go, just want to remind you that this podcast is brought to you by OLBAA, packaging for bakers designed by a baker. You can learn more about us at www.olbaa.shop. See you next time.